Butterfly has always had a reputation as a grueling stroke, but that's because so many people swim butter struggle. We'd like to change that by teaching you a style that is relaxed, flowing, and enjoyable. The drills and skills on this video will teach you to swim much farther without fatigue. They'll also develop the foundation to swim with unprecedented speed and power by swimming with your body instead of your arms and legs. You'll see two styles of butterfly here. TI head coach Terry Laughlin will show you a style we call butterfly for boomers, which is ideal for swimmers of any age. Terry used it to overcome 40 years of butter struggle and learn an efficient fly at age 55. TI coach Stefan Bill demonstrates butterfly as swum by those who may be younger and stronger or have more natural aptitude for fly. Our high-efficiency version of butterfly will help you maintain your stroke and speed for greater distances. Our step-by-step series of exercises is designed to lead naturally and almost effortlessly from the most basic drill to the whole stroke. You'll learn faster and easier if you take the time to thoroughly understand how your body responds to each subtle movement. Always focus on increasing ease, flow, and integration rather than trying harder. So let's begin learning. We're at my home pool and we're going to be shooting a butterfly video today. And the lessons I'll be showing you on this video are the steps I followed to be able to learn to swim butterfly at the age of 55 this year after 40 years of frustration. The purpose of the streamlined dolphin is to lengthen the body line. First thing we're going to do is experiment with if I just move my shoulder blades forward and back. And it might be a good idea when you practice to do this exercise yourself before you do it. But if I just move my shoulder blades forward and back, how much of a dolphin I can create without adding chest press and without adding toe flick. You can see my hips, torso, and legs undulating, but I'm not trying to make that happen. My complete focus is on extending my shoulder blades. Spreading my arms enables the rest of my body to respond to fairly subtle movement in front. Now, I didn't breathe on that because I wanted to focus entirely on how my body responded to moving my shoulder blades forward, extending my body line in the front. The effect of moving the shoulder blades is it pulls on the mid-back, and that pulling on the mid-back causes the hips to go through the dolphin action. What I'll do now is consciously add a chest press to that motion. I'm not going to add the toe flick yet. We'll just see how much more dynamic the movement gets. I still won't breathe on this. I also haven't turned on the current yet because I don't really need it when the movement's this gentle. Though I'm pressing my chest here, I'm not diving. My head barely submerges with each pulse. Now this is a 35-foot pool, and that's really plenty of space for me to get movements that are that basic and that gentle right. I'm not focused on anything except getting a better feel for how my body responds as I add another element to the movement. Now you may have seen my feet move there. I felt the move, but I wasn't consciously trying to move them. They were simply responding to two movements, the extension of my shoulder blades and adding some chest press. What I'll do now is consciously add a toe flick And we'll see how much more dynamic the whole movement gets, because what we're doing is gradually building a whole body dynamic into this movement. When I integrate my legs, I do it only with a light flick of my toes. Even so, connecting everything from hands to feet provides the power to propel me farther on each pulse. Now, while I was conscious that time of adding the toe flick, I'm not turning it into a kicking exercise. I'm really just trying to create a whole body dynamic, adding one piece at a time, and I added the legs and the feet to it that time. One thing that's important as you bring the feet into it is not to let the feet come out of the water, because it breaks the tone of the whole body line. The effect, the power, is created by connecting all the pieces of the body in unison, working together. And if the feet come out, it breaks the tone of the whole body line. So just let the heels and the soles of the feet come to the surface. So watch for that this time. Quiet dolphins are much more efficient than splashy kicking. Crossing the pool in 7 dolphins rather than 11 confirms how much efficiency I've gained. I really haven't included breathing yet in this movement, because breathing's not integral to it, and to some degree, including the breath, can get in the way of your being able to feel that body coordination I've been talking about. And I've been going short distances, so I don't need a breath. But if you want to add the breath, what you're trying to do is avoid this sort of movement in your breathing, and try to do it with this sort of movement. Where the head rises and sinks as a natural part of the body's undulation, but you don't add chin movement to it. So now I'll add breath. I'll breathe in frequently, so I can mainly concentrate maybe 2 or 3 pulses on just getting the movement the way it was, and then fit in a breath and keep the movement the same. Now that's the beginning of imprinting what we call a sneaky breath, which will be very important when we swim the whole stroke, and in fact is important in all the drills. The progression from here, once you've done a few of them, is to just gradually increase the frequency of the breath. From there, I was breathing every 3 or 4 pulses to the point where you can breathe every other pulse, and then perhaps every pulse. On this one, I'll breathe every other pulse. Practicing no-breather dolphins helps imprint a long, streamlined body line that channels energy forward. Notice how stable Stefan's head is, how light and compact his hand movement is, and how little he bends his knees. The critical action here is a light, rhythmic chest press that elongates his body and lifts his hips, keeping his legs relaxed. Breathing can be a challenge in Streamlined Dolphin. I'm trying to minimize my head movement, but without a hand skull, it's difficult. Even a slight head lift causes me to be less streamlined than Stefan. Breathing becomes integral to the movement in the next drill, Sculling Dolphin. All right, on Streamlined Dolphin, my focus was on lengthening my body line and having upper body, hips, and legs all work together. The second exercise is the Sculling Dolphin. And what we do in the Sculling Dolphin is add an element of active hands. starting to move the hands outward to trap water, and then streamline them again. And as you streamline, spear forward, streamlining the whole body. Now, while I won't be breathing on this one, I will be consciously adding a little element of streamlining my head between my arms every time I go forward with my hands. Notice how I scull gently and streamline my head with subtlety. I'm going to introduce breathing into the sculling dolphin by being aware that as I trap water and then spin the hands inside on my way back to streamlining, just as I turn in, my body lifts a little bit. And I want to feel that body lift as an opportunity to fit in the breath. So my breath is a natural part of my body action, and not something that happens on its own. While breathing reduced efficiency in streamlined dolphin, here it actually becomes an advantage because it makes the whole movement more dynamic. Now, the second thing that happens naturally as a result of that in-sweep is that as my shoulders lift, my knees bend, and as I drive forward again and spear forward and streamline everything, that is the most natural time to add the toe flick. So I haven't consciously put the toe flick into the sculling dolphin yet. I'll do that now, but again, I'm just going to try to feel it as a natural result of the lift that's created here, and then coordinate the toe flick with my drive forward. So I feel as if my toe flick actually drives my hands forward. My focus is on feeling my toe flick help extend my body with more energy and power. I do that by linking movement rather than increasing effort. I haven't turned on the current yet, but now as that movement is becoming more of a whole body dynamic, there's more power being released every time I pulse and get everything involved. I'm going to need the current because I'm getting up to there in just about 4 or 5 pulses, where before it was taking 8 to 10. So we'll turn on the current now. We'll practice with a gentle current and doing a sculling dolphin with everything working together. I get a moment of rest by waiting for the air in my chest to return me to the surface. As that happens, I begin to scull out, but keep my body streamlined. Practice with these focal points. Spear yourself to where you can hold the water. Anchor in place with your skull. Seamlessly streamline your head as your hands slice forward. Flick your toes to extend into streamline. Wait for your body to rebalance between sculls. Our next exercise is Ride the Wave. And in Ride the Wave, what we do is we connect for the first time a full butterfly arm sweep to the breath. We're not going to take the arms out, we're not going to recover them just yet, because what we want to do is just get the coordination of the arm sweep and the breath and the pulsing of the body. We've set up the pulsing of the body, now we'll include it as the thing that sets the rhythm for all the other movements. What you saw me do there was pulse, sweep, and pulse again. Good idea when you start practicing Ride the Wave is just do one cycle of it, just like I did. Pulse, sweep, pulse again. And your focus is to feel the second pulse be just as strong as the first pulse. So practice with one cycle, 2 pulses, as I did. I'll do that one more time. I stopped in between, just think about what I did, catch my breath, then do it again. Next step is going to be to add the recovery. This recovery won't be the out of the water recovery. We want to keep it relaxed. The first time we bring in a butterfly recovery, we want to bring in with it the idea that it can be a relaxed movement, not an exhausting movement. So we're going to keep that recovery underwater. And as we keep it underwater, we're going to focus on a wide sweeping motion, because straight arms bring more momentum forward than bent arms. And we're going to focus on keeping the palms down, because there's a lot less resistance in the shoulder when your palms are down and your thumbs lead than when you turn the thumbs down and lead with the back of the hand. So I'm going to do an exercise we call Water Angels as a rehearsal for how I'm going to bring in a recovery into Ride the Wave. Now as I do those Water Angels, I'm only going between 10 and 2 o'clock, which is where I want to land when I do the regular butterfly. I'm going between 10 and 2 o'clock and 4 and 8 o'clock. I don't want to come all the way down to here, and I don't want to come all the way to here as I do that. I'm not worrying about my legs. I just leave them motionless. They may even sink to the bottom. My toes touch the bottom. I don't worry about that. I'm just concentrating on how I move my arms. Now what we'll do is add that movement and one more pulse to what I just did, which was 2 pulses with an arm sweep. Now I'm going to add a third pulse, and before that third pulse I'm going to bring my arms back forward. But I'll just do one complete cycle with 3 pulses. I'm going to focus on pulse, 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 keeping each pulse feeling the same emphasis and keeping the rhythm steady in the pulses. The pulses determine the speed of everything else. So the idea is to practice enough times with the 3 pulses and the arm sweeping back and then recovering easily forward, for you to feel very comfortable and feel like you can maintain the rhythm and everything fits neatly into that rhythm. And as that starts to feel natural to you, then you add a 4th pulse and a 5th pulse and so on. So I'll do it with 4 pulses going that way, and then I'll turn around doing it with 5 pulses. So you can see how you can add 1 movement and 1 pulse to it as you build this into a complete skill. Alright, that was 4 pulses. Now I'll do a 5th pulse. I'm going to do this one time without any current. We'll just see how really gentle movements, how many pulses or how many cycles it takes me to travel the length of a 35-foot pool. Now, I haven't really thought too much about how I do this yet, because I had other things to think about. But as I begin to think about that, the most important thing to be aware of as you think about the arm sweep is actually not to pull the arms back, but once you trap water here is to see if you can hold the arms in place and move yourself past the arms. So now I'll add a concentration on not moving my arms back, but holding them in place and moving myself past my arms. You can see my arms move back, but what I feel is arms anchor in place while body slides over them. For me, that subtle change in the concept of butterfly, instead of pulling on the water, to holding here and using core muscle to move me past my anchor, combined with the idea of resting, those were the two things that transform butterfly from exhausting into something that I could do relaxed enough to go as much as 200 yards and then another 200 yards after resting a little bit, or to swim a long series of 25s, which I've never been able to do before. So we'll add the current now, still a gentle current, but this will give me an opportunity to do maybe a few more pulses and imprint the habits that I'm trying to learn here by doing a few more pulses. Notice how the sneaky breath and subtle head movement I began imprinting in sculling dolphin is still present in this more dynamic movement. I keep my chin in the water, then lay my head forward gently. Practice with these focal points. First, focus on rhythm. So relaxed you could continue indefinitely. Hold the water and wait for your hips to lift. Slide your body past your handhold. Reach wide on recovery. Keep your palms down and land wide. Flick your toes and streamline forward. Take a sneaky breath, chin in the water, looking down, landing forward gently. Finally, imprint a keyhole pull pattern. Sweep out to your grip, in beneath your chest, then outside your hips. This shows how a swimmer in his 50s might drill differently from one in his 20s. Stefan's hips, back, and shoulders move more freely. I try to maximize what my body permits by streamlining, staying relaxed, and being patient. Now, I talked earlier about two elements of the recovery, which is that you want a wide sweeping motion and that you want to do it with straight arms, leading with your thumbs. Now we'll add another element to the recovery. We're going to actually take the arms out for the first time, but what we'll be working on here is one of the most common errors in butterfly, which is pushing back too far and then the arms get stuck and it's hard to get them out for the recovery. So our mini fly drill, the primary point here is to just do a very small stroke, very gentle, very small stroke, just etching the water, small out sweep, in sweep, and then immediately take your hands out. What would seem much too early, in order to return them to the front gently. So we'll do that. I won't kick, I won't breathe. I'm just going to focus on the small in sweep, out sweep, and then the small recovery movement as gently as I can. I do this as gently as I can, moving my hands in a small circle, then flipping them forward. When doing this for the first time, keep head and shoulders still and make no effort to kick. Just a small, gentle back and forward arm movement. Now, I wasn't including a conscious kick in that. There was a small involuntary movement of the legs as a result of my hand sweep and recovery. What I'll do now is not include a kick, but consciously, as I land, dolphin down strongly. Really press my chest down strongly to initiate the movement up of my hips. And that will be the dolphin, not a kick in butterfly, but a dolphin, and that will be initiated by the exaggerated dolphin in the front. It appears I'm diving, but I just sink my chest deeply while keeping my head aligned. Then I let the air in my lungs rebalance me. My kick is purely a reaction to body motion. My legs crack as my arms exit. They flick down as I land, but they do very little work. Now, the purpose of the exaggerated dolphin is to teach your muscles what may be a new movement. So you start with an exaggerated dolphin and gradually make that dolphin a little bit more natural. As you make the dolphin a little more natural, less exaggerated, you can also start to bring back in the breath, which we dropped out as we introduced this movement. So I'll make the dolphin a little more natural and include the breath as well. Just adding the breath provides a seamless transition from mini fly to relaxed whole stroke swimming. Now, what I want to keep as a conscious element of that drill is that pause after I land forward, allowing my body to rebalance. Here, that pause is just to set me up again for the next little in sweep, out sweep, and recovery. But as I move to whole stroke, that pause is my moment of rest in each stroke cycle that allows me to carry on much longer than I did before. We'll add a current now, because the movement is starting to become a little stronger and a little bit more dynamic. It's more of a whole body movement.
Just adding the breath allows a seamless transition to whole stroke. That subtle new movement helps me rebalance faster, leading to steadier rhythm.
Now, I had a very gentle current there. I'll increase the strength of the current as I increase the strength of my movements so that I can still do about 5, 6, 7 cycles to get there. If you're in a regular pool, you don't have to adjust the current. You just will travel further with each cycle when you make the movement more dynamic. Our last drill is the dolphin dive, butterfly, and what we use this drill for is to make us more conscious of how we pierce the water on our landing and entry so that the energy we bring forward really travels forward. And then as we pierce the water and clean up our line by streamlining the body from head to toe, we really travel forward between strokes in the butterfly. So in the dolphin dive, you just dive over the water, enter cleanly, and the first time you do it, just resurface using the buoyancy of the air in your lungs to bring you back to the surface. So just dive forward, enter cleanly, and resurface. First time I'll do it with a slightly exaggerated arc over the water and a slightly exaggerated dive down. Now I slightly exaggerated the up and down portion of that one so I could really concentrate on getting in the water cleanly. But as I practice more, I'm going to go forward more and just clear the water by a little bit and not go so deep. Focus more on the energy going forward, but still being just as clean on my entry.
I pierce the water as cleanly as I can, then let natural buoyancy return me to the surface and propel me forward.
Now up to now, I've just let the natural buoyancy of the air in my lungs bring me back to the surface. What I'll do next is, as that natural buoyancy brings me back to the surface, I'm going to add a stroke, the stroke I've been working on so far, and a redive. And my goal here is to make my second dive, the one after the stroke, be just as clean and pierce the water just as well as my first dive. I'll put on the current for this.
My focus is using momentum from the first dive to bring me to the surface, then diving again just as cleanly as the first time.
Now I'll practice the dive and redive until that second dive consistently feels as clean on the entry to the water as the first one did. Once that happens, then I'll add a third dive and go through that same process. When the third dive consistently feels as good as the first and second dive, I'll add a fourth dive. So I'll just be adding strokes to this naturally, but always with the driving factor being how cleanly do I enter the water and travel forward with a streamlined body line.
Stefan stretches forward as he lands. This is where his power comes from. His hands stay shallow while his deep chest lifts his hips. He stays streamlined as he strokes. His hands meet early and exit early. I land forward and pierce the water. Lacking flexibility, I focus on streamlining. Less undulation means a smaller outsweep, insweep. My most valuable lesson is to relax and be patient while streamlined, because I'm most hydrodynamic at this moment.
Butterfly with a whip kick, or breast kick, is legal in master swimming. It's also an option for anyone swimming fly for their own pleasure. We've added this section after completing the rest of the video because TI coach Ann Svensson suggested I try it after watching my fly at a masters meet. Because it felt good, and I swam faster than with a dolphin kick, and because master swimmers can use whip kick fly, we decided to add this brief section before release. The technique is the same as regular fly with one dolphin kick. You just open your feet. Heels come up when you begin your stroke. Drive feet back as you finish your stroke. Make your kick as compact and quick as you can. Try to finish your kick as you land forward. Feel the kick drive your hands forward. Continue to focus on a sneaky breath and soft landing. See you at the pool.
Alternating fly and breast cycles will improve both strokes. The outsweep and core body rotation are very similar. But most important is breathing the same way in each. The most valuable habit to develop here is relaxed, rhythmic movement. Mini fly will correct over-kicking and teach your legs to follow your body. Starting from a gentle surface glide is a good way to blend your kick with body movement. Breathe as seamlessly as possible. Visualize swimming under a very low ceiling. Also notice, by hugging the surface, how these swimmers create almost no bow wave. Move your head as subtly as you can. Join me in swimming butterfly better than you ever have before.